supposedly there's some news about ARC Raiders.
Hey, it's Drybear. The
Hey,
ARC
Drybear.
Raiders team just put out a blog post talking about a recap of the Server Slam, what they're changing about the game, what they're looking forward to for
I hope they
launch,
make
as
the
well
robots
as a
easier.
super nice infographic.
Maybe not
that
easier,
covers
but
what things went on.
maybe not
during
beat
the
my
Server
ass
Slam,
so
how many
much.
queens got destroyed and things like that.
That's
so
pretty
let's
cool.
dive in. First thing to talk about is the change to
the flying ARCs. It turns out their awareness was a bit too high, allowing them to essentially see through trees and bushes. That's not a thing? That's not supposed to be a thing? Do you know how many times I was fucking rocketeered by that goddamn big robot thing that shoots missiles behind a damn tree? I just thought that was part of the game. This made their vision unintentionally overpowered, but we've adjusted what they can see now. Okay.
Flying
so that's cool.
ARCs,
Okay.
the drones that go up in the sky. There's actually been a lot of discussion around
That's
whether
cool.
the
That's
ARCs
cool.
are too
Yeah.
strong and are too much of a presence. I actually think that number one, I don't think any of them are all too hard. The Rocketeer and a well-placed Bastion can take you out pretty easily, but for the most part, every other arc can be
Yeah,
respected
I
in
agree.
their own
Yeah,
way
yeah, I
and
agree.
dealt with
Okay,
in their
okay.
own way. And the big thing about AI enemies,
Like that one
and-
right there, you just well, what I learned from Shroud and other people playing, you can just shoot the wings, and it for the most part, it's so much easier. Like to take it down, like it'll literally hit 2 wing shots, and it'll like literally fly out the air and hit the ground.
any kind of like NPC style character is, no matter how good the logic is, they will, over time, players will learn to cheese them.
That's
and
also
abuse
true.
them, and
Yeah,
they become
like people were already cheesing them. Not me, because I'm bad. I'm bad at the game. I don't know what I was doing. It's my first time ever playing something like this, right? I played extraction shooters, but not in this way. I saw people fighting that big jumper thing inside of a building, or a better statement, inside of the extraction building, because it couldn't get them. It could do like whatever ability that it does, but they would just back up into the extraction thing, keep shooting it, whenever it do ability, back up. I didn't even think of that. Because it can't go inside the extraction area, it's just too tall. I didn't even think of that, but you know, the game wasn't even out yet and people are already figuring that out, so that's pretty cool.
and monotonous. I think they've done a good job in ARC Raiders of making the ARC robots feel varied and have a good presence and all of that. And I don't agree with the perspective of, hey, let's just make them easier. But there are a lot of people that jumped into the Server Slam, got blown up by drones or bots over and over and over, and quit and had very vocal things to say about the game in general.
Which, to be fair, I mean, I think that, they shouldn't be as punishing, but I don't think by nerf, or I don't think they should be nerfed as in, like, the damage should be less. I do think the whole awareness thing is huge. Do not want them seeing me. Like, you should be able to avoid them easier. Now, if you want to fight them, go ahead and die, then that's your fault, right? Of course, if you take the initiative to fight that thing and then you lose, that's your fault. It is a extraction shooter. They are, for the most part, pretty hardcore. That's just how they are. Maybe not NPC or PvE wise, are not that hard, but regardless. Now, my point in saying all of this is basically, I don't think the damage should be less or anything. The awareness thing is a good step in the right direction and everything. I would also say maybe like less of them. Like, I think there's too many of them in certain areas. Like, you could be just walking around in a forest and see like 4 of them or something. That's kind of crazy and a little bit hard to fight. I don't know.
Definitely some issues with, the targeting and things like that. So as you can see at the bottom of the screen, the first change they're making is they're going to make it so the targeting aspect
I think that's a
flying
big part, like I
specifically,
said.
so like the Wasp, the Hornet, and probably even the Rocketeer as well. Maybe the Snitch, although the Snitch has a very wide area coverage, so maybe this has an impact or not. So it turns out their awareness was a bit too high, allowing them to essentially see through trees and bushes. This made their vision unintentionally overpowered, but we've adjusted that so what they can see now. So expect a fairer fight at launch. So they're not changing the damage output of the
which is,
Hornet
I
or
think
the
that's
Wasp
fine. I
or
think that's fine.
The presence of the Rocketeer. It's more just about how they find you, and this is probably a great first step. This doesn't really change the efficacy of them once you're aggroed. It just
because you don't want to like completely buckle to everybody like giving opinions about your game, because then it'll be the exact same thing that happened with Dune Awakening, where it was a good game, PvE in the beginning, and then the whole ending game was PvP, and then they changed it to be half PvE, half PvP, even though it was completely advertised to be an entire PvP in game, and they changed it. Which, you know, a lot of people were mad, some people were happy, but you just can't help everybody. So trying to listen to the minority is not going to help the game in the long run, in my opinion. So I think it's a good thing to just kind of help the people that are complaining, but not hurt the people that also are enjoying the difficulty, which is pretty good.
A little less unfair when they do find you. And there's definitely times where I felt like I was in a bush, hiding by a rock, I threw a lure grenade, and then the drone just like, hey, who's that over there?
Yeah.
So there's definitely situations where it felt like they found you very easily, even through buildings that had holes in the roof, so they actually had visibility on you there. So this is a pretty fair change for the drones itself. It doesn't really have a major impact on how scary they are. But let me know what you think about this. If you felt like the, one, do you think the ARCS needed changing at all? And two,
like,
you know,
there were some runs I had where if I just ran enough, like even if I got saw, if I just ran enough, I could get away and or like run into a building and be fine. I just think that it would suck to, like, say you running from a player or running towards a player or just running period, and then a Rocketeer see you. You're basically dead. And yeah, you could be like, get better at dodging the rockets. Sure. But then when you're dodging the rockets from the Rocketeer and then you run into another ARC, you're just dead. They take too many bullets to actually kill them. Maybe that will change in the long run when we have more guns and, you know, utilities and stuff to actually destroy them. But currently, the way that I saw it at least, it's kind of to the point where it's not even like a skill thing. You're literally just dead. It was more like you either run from the damn thing or you accept death, which I don't think that's a good thing. But that's just me.
I feel like the flying drones actually had a very easy time finding you, even if you were hiding. It's very possible that there was no like line of sight occlusion for the drones up in the sky. So even if you were in a bush, they just saw you flat out. But you know, there's issues with that for other players as well. So we could talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, let me know what you think about the flying ARC change here. Next up, the Dam Tower. There are probably people in this comment section that remember what the Dam Tower is. There's even another loot area that had this same issue. So what are we talking about here when it comes to the Dam Tower?
The Dam Tower, we watched
about 2 or 3 locations on the one map that we played in the server slam that were meant to be locked loot locations where you'd have to bring a key card or a key item to open them, and you would get really good loot for doing so. However, people found ways to get into.
Wait, I think someone actually taught me this. It was like you could jump over the ledge and you could mount inside the window. Is that what they're talking about? It could be. I'm not sure though, but it could be.
These loot rooms without needing the key. In the case of the Dam Tower, you can actually go up onto the roof of the control tower of the Dam Tower, jump off the roof, and then grab onto a lower ledge. And then there was a broken window where you could get into the Dam Tower room. Another area of the map, there was like one of these like broken ruins.
That shit's scary. My heart was beating so damn fast when I had to try that, and we actually succeeded to getting all that cool shit. It was pretty fun. It was fun, but it sucks they're removing that.
Like the destroyed building areas that had a loot room in it, but because there was a hole, like a destructed hole in the concrete in the wall, again, people could climb up and jump through that hole and get in and get the loot. So what they're doing is, you know, there was a question of what are they going to fix this or not? Is this intended? Do they intend for you to be able to buy?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's not intended,
and it sounds like that was not the case. So we watched many of you bravely and perhaps a little too easily access the launch tower on Dam Battlegrounds.
Good change.
Fun to watch,
It's a good change, I guess.
Accessible for a key loot location. That's been fixed to keep the challenge sharp. So that, again, the Dam Tower wasn't the only location you could do this on. It was just the one that people were talking about because I'm sure people just clips were going around on how to get in, that sort of thing. It sounds like that was fixed. So you can no longer, you know, get in through the broken window in the Dam Tower. Hopefully anywhere this happens, I think it's probably a good philosophical decision to say that if something has a locked key that you're supposed to get in a game like this, you should have the locked key.
Of course,
you know, it's kind of cool and fun to jump king your way into broken windows and holes in walls and things like that, or hopefully not glitch through terrain and things like that. But, you know, I think if there is a key requirement in an extraction-based game, bringing a key with you should be part of that thrill, and they shouldn't have to balance the loot that comes out of it to account for the fact that people are getting in for free. Next, they made a note about stability.
And I forgot what game it's called, but it's like a mobile extraction game. The keys that they have, you can find them in the clothes that's hanging up on the wall and stuff, or other players, of course, right? But for the most part, there is no way to get inside that at all. It's literally an electric door that you just can't get in. Completely concrete, no windows, no holes, no nothing. So I hit my mic. It just makes sense. It just makes sense.
I think in general, this is definitely one of the more stable games you can find in the market right now, but obviously hardware is varied, especially with PCs, not consoles, but even with PCs, very different hardware, very different drivers, firmware, software. No matter what you do, there's always going to be gaps. And so from the Server Slam, they say thank you for helping to identify and get those issues out to them so you can get bug reports. They have found those issues and resolved stability issues across all platforms, including console. From the test, we've locked in even more solutions leading up to launch day to ensure a smooth launch experience.
But actually interesting that they said that. I actually had a really good time. Like performance wise, I had no issues, no frame drops. I think my settings were on Epic also, by the way. So I think they did pretty well with optimization, if you ask me. Maybe just small things I didn't notice though, but for the most part, it played totally like fine.
I've seen most feedback saying the game runs great, but I have seen people saying that they're getting frame drops, FPS issues, lots of other things. So hopefully that gets better over time. Next up was the feedback on visual difference. So anyone that played Tech Test 2 specifically, it was higher fidelity than it was on the Server Slam. And a lot of this was because of performance, right? This is worth an entire other video. I'll probably make a separate video on this topic, as there's other things we need to talk about around being able to see through smoke on some settings, being able to see through foliage on some settings, and the visual difference for performance.
That's actually kind of crazy.
Level of detail, draw distance.
Yeah, no, that sucks. That sucks. That's not good. That's not good at all.
People have noticed that the fidelity went down from the Tech Test 2 to Server Slam, and people were complaining about the quality of it. And so they acknowledged that the visual difference was a problem for some, and that they are aware of it, and they made the default settings change to make it more favorable for performance, and they're looking into tuning further to strike the right balance. It doesn't sound like there's anything majorly actionable here. They're just aware of the feedback that people don't like, that the bottom line came down for performance. Some companies will be willing to manage like cinematic or ultra level details for the people that want to use it. If you have an enthusiast level machine, they want to be able to see that. However, it does increase the download size when they do that, and it does increase the cost of assets. And some companies just don't bother, right? If they can make the best version for everybody, that's easier for them to develop on based on the resources they have. But obviously, the people that want more fidelity and have the capability of supporting it would prefer it.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like there's anything like, hey, we're going to do this. It's just on their radar. They're aware of the feedback, and they're going to see what they can do. Next, let's dive into the stats.
I'm not really going to be worried about that one that much because, like I said, my thing range is fine. It was on Epic, everything. Turn all that motion blur bullshit off. But other than that, it was fine. So.
Slam. It was a 3-day Server Slam. They
30 million people playing. It's kind of crazy.
Like the late night of
or
the
30 million rounds played.
There were 30 million rounds played, which is pretty awesome.
That's
and they peaked closer to 200,000 CCU on Steam, at least for that. For something that was free at the time, pretty straightforward, but very, very good. So 30 million rounds played of people getting in, getting out is very, very respectable and super exciting. The deadliest ARC, which should come to no surprise to anyone, was the Rocketeer.
I love how the deadliest ARC isn't the Queen or the Jumper, but the damn Rocketeer. That is crazy to me.
I think the first time you see the Rocketeer without realizing what it is, especially like I can imagine a new player coming into the game, seeing a wasp blasting it out of the sky, seeing a hornet, and you're like, oh, it's got some armor.
Exactly, because you see the bigger one and you go, big loot situation. I'm going to take this down. I'm going to be rich as hell. And obviously, any gamer can see that being bigger and go, this is going to be way harder. But for the most part, you don't think it's going to two-shot you. like generally, you don't generally think that. It does come out of nowhere and just two-shot your ass. Like, you're just dead.
On the lift. Okay, let's go around it. Okay, we destroyed it. And you go through the game, you see pops and you see ticks. You're like, okay, this is easy. So you see this black, larger wasp or hornet floating around. You're like, whatever, I'm gonna shoot it. And then you just stand still while it looks at you and targets you, thinking it's a machine gun. It's definitely not, and it blasts you to bits.
So
I could definitely see this being it. It's definitely one of the strongest ones in the game, and it's the one that I respect the most. Even like I said, the Bastion, the Leaper. In a lot of cases, you can circumvent them. They're also very loud and large and easy to see, and they're grounded too, which means they can't go over buildings, structures, roofs, things like that.
See, so the biggest one about the Rocketeer is that there's more than one. And I don't know if there's like 10 jumpers or anything, but for the most part, you see like one or two going to the high-end areas. The Rocketeer, however, was just there. Like, you could just be walking to the water treatment place, and it would just be there. And because you don't want to die, you're going to avoid that entire area because that shit will see you 5,000 meters away, basically. That you're just dead. And or, if you're not dead, the whole damn server knows you're fighting one of them. So, that shit was very scary. So, it makes so much sense to be the deadliest.
Killed the most amount of players. Not that surprising. The Rocketeer actually knocked down almost 2.4 million players. So out of those 30 million rounds, 2.4 million players were taken out specifically by the Rocketeer, which is pretty funny. The most crafted weapon was the Pharaoh. Now, there's a couple things to say about the Pharaoh. I think at first,
isn't that the wrong icon? Isn't the Pharaoh the sniper? Not tripping. Like, isn't that one right there? I could have swore. I don't know.
Like the bolt action single round reload type weapon in general. And I think it also is a little skewed here because, one, there was a lot of new players coming in with a fresh account because it was just for the server slam, so they didn't have a lot of resources, and Pharaoh is one of the starter weapons that you can craft very easily with basic resources. So I think that is going to, amplify it a little bit. But I actually am quite surprised, and comment down below, I'm surprised with the amount of love the Pharaoh is getting. Now,
if the Pharaoh is the sniper, I'm pretty sure it is. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna sound like a retard, but it's obvious because when you first start playing the game, you use a little pistol gun, you spray the damn body of one of the wasp arc things, it doesn't go down, you die, you lose all your shit, you pick the Pharaoh up, and this is before everybody knows about the wings and shit, because I didn't know you can shoot the wings and the arc can go down easier, right? I didn't know that. A lot of people probably didn't know that, right? Right? You following? You get the Pharaoh, you shoot the thing, it goes down in 3 or 4 guaranteed shots. This is without shooting the wings or whatever. In my mind, 4 heavy bullets is way more efficient than 45 small bullets or 30 medium bullets, if you ask me. So I could just assume that a lot of new players probably had the same experience or opinion, and that's probably why the Pharaoh was the most crafted gun.
Like a Pharaoh 1 with no attachments, it's pretty rough. You get the pump, and you have to do the chamber, clear the chamber. You have to bolt it again, and then do it again. Especially in an open firefight, you can get screwed pretty hard. So I would think that weapons like that would not be that popular. However, it seems like a lot of players really love the Pharaoh. Now, if you get a Pharaoh 4, like upgrade it all the way and then put attachments on it, you can greatly reduce that, single round reload time.
Oh,
so you can shoot and pump. And because Arc Raiders is third person, it means that you can peek, right? And I think a lot of people learn to do this in games like this, where they will only fire outside of cover if they are able to fire, right? They only peek if they're able to fire. And so if you're using a Pharaoh, you pump out, shoot once, go back and cover, right? You're only peeking and shooting, peeking and shooting, peeking and shooting, which means you're basically eliminating the major downside for the Pharaoh. It's also a heavy rounds weapon with high arc penetration, which means it's good against players if you dome them in the head. It's good against any of the arc robots, the drones that fly by. You can just pop them once.
It's also like the only gun, or one of the only guns that can shoot far away. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? It's a sniper, basically. So, like, that's also it just makes sense.
Blow a rotor right off and they crash to the ground. So it's just widely useful, easily available, and packs a punch. And so, the most crafted weapon being the Pharaoh is crazy. Usually weapons like this, are not the most popular just because they're harder to use. But it seems this time around that bolt action, marksman carbine type rifle is just people are vibing with it. Next, somehow, some way, 77 queens were eliminated during the server slam. I didn't bother trying to destroy a queen.
I've never even attempted.
With the intro level gear that we got in the server slam, I knew it was going to be a huge undertaking.
How the hell do people kill the queen? What weapons were they using?
Rounds pumped into the queen to destroy her, and that's using more of the purple legendary tier weapons and bonuses that you'd get in there. So
that's
realistically,
crazy. I'm gonna be honest.
Wanted to use this with basic common or green weapons, or maybe even blue weapons to take down the queen, it would take significantly more than that. So I'm kind of shocked that people even bothered to do the queen. I've seen clips of like 10 players grouping up and shooting at the queen. Again, if you're not sure what the queen is, there is a harvester encounter on the map where a special room will pop up with loot in it, and it's guarded by a gigantic, like factory-sized ARC robot that has crazy powers.
Maybe they use like utilities, like a bunch of grenades, and I don't know. I never even attempt this. I don't know how hard it actually is. I just watched people in my games die to the queen, so
And so you can kill her, you can loot her. She has great loot and components on her. But out of the total 3 days, people took the time to take down 77 of them, which is wild. And imagine that it probably took, again, like 6 to 10 people each time. Now, once we go live, like once we have the live version of the game, if you have a full loadout with really good weapons, you should be able to take the queen out in a group of 3 or 2 with good placement and time and things like that, especially with consumables, throwing the big heavy grenades or like, things like that.
It makes sense,
do a good job. The queen is a manageable target. It just wasn't very reasonable for the tech test for the service line.
I find it crazy that only 77 was killed. If we had 2 million rounds or whatever the number was for many people that played, that is like 2 million matches basically, right? Like completed matches, or is that 2 million people that got in distracted? What, I don't fucking know. Anyways, 77 queens killed out of 2 million is crazy to me. I mean, again, the queen was scary as hell. It's big as hell. One shots most people, I would assume, because I saw entire teams getting downed instantly like that. Free loot for me though, but I'm just surprised to the number. So I guess so low. Maybe it's not that low actually. I don't know.
But people disagreed and they took her down. So 77 of them were destroyed. But in return, 108,000 players were knocked down by the queen. Like the last hit that incapacitated the player was the queen, 108,000, which is wild. Because you think about if 2.4 million were knocked down by the Rocketeer, 108,000 coming down by the queen is massive, because the Rocketeer's all over the map. The queen is literally
that's what I'm saying. There's too many of them.
In one location, and only when the special event is active.
You can play around and never see the queen, or never encounter an attacked queen. There's like a 40% chance you're gonna encounter a Rocketeer. Maybe more than that, depending on where you go, obviously. But I'm just saying, you will probably encounter the Rocketeer a little bit less than every other game, basically. Or every game.
The top side that you're doing. So the fact that the queen had so many casualties shows how powerful she actually is. I think a lot of those players just didn't know what to expect, or they just weren't paying attention. One of the biggest parts about the queen is other players third-partying you while you're coming in, right, when you have aggro on the queen. But the queen, got some punches back in. Total over the weekend, 58 million ARCs were destroyed. If there were 30 million rounds played, that means that basically people were destroying over 1 ARC every single time they went topside on average, right? Obviously, I'm sure there were people that were surviving to the end, destroying 5, 6, 7.
I want to see his health. How much health did he just take falling like that? Like, holy shit.
10, 12. If you count up all the wasps and hornets and all the individual aspects of it, you could certainly get that number really high. But 58 million ARCs being destroyed over the weekend. 26,000 players knocked down by lightning. So you had to be in the electrical storm. I
didn't play the electric area because that shit sounded scary as hell. I was getting my ass beat by basic ARCs and stuff. So why the hell would I fight lightning? I did actually last night watch Shroud play. That should look cool as hell. Maybe I would try it on like some free loadout shit or whatever. But it looks cool as hell, man. I'm assuming the loot is way better. Surprised only 26,000 though. People probably had the same opinion as me though. They were scared as hell to even try that shit. So makes sense.
For the map, and then you had to get hit by the lightning. I don't think I've ever been downed by lightning, but I can imagine if like you were in a very unfortunate situation, you get hit by it, or if you just didn't know that the lightning did damage the first time you did the storm status on the map, it probably just struck you and took you out.
It had like a color or a radius at a certain spot before the lightning actually struck or whatever. So maybe people didn't like realize that's what it was, probably.
Stats here. There were 816,000 rubber ducks collected. These are treasure items that can be sold for a good amount, but they also stay in a display case in Speranza for how many you've collected. And some players, because when you throw them, they make a squeaky sound, we're using them as like pseudo lure grenades, just throwing rubber duckies out to the open and having them go wham as they land.
Didn't even think of that.
2,600 brave raiders were incapacitated or slain while playing the recorder. So I guess everyone was out here playing
the literal recorder. I got
survival
you.
game, and other people were playing like a D&D bard, just trying to sing the song of their people. So there, recorder is an item you could play. It plays a recorder sound, and you could doot while you're moving around. And so there were literally 2,600 raiders were knocked down while playing the recorder. So I admire their commitment to the song. And an extension of that, 96,000 recorders were found. I think there was a trader that sold recorders on a rotation. So I don't know if this counts the ones that could be bought, or maybe
I'm assuming it counts only ones that were found. Yeah, probably
were
found
out in the field while you're looting topside. But 96,000 recorders.
Yo, first time I looted this thing. Hold on, wait. For first thing I looted this thing, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, bro. Whole time, every time I spawned in this swamp area and I ran around this thing, I thought it was like a monster or something. Like, not the actual machine. I thought you would hear a sound. Like, basically, you would get close to it, you would hear a very loud, scary sound, as if there was a robot flying or coming close to you. So you're just looking around, trying to find what it is, and I'm confused. So in one game, I think it's like close to the last game before the server shut down, I climbed the thing, and you can loot the top. Yeah, it's pretty good loot too. Like, I didn't know that. However, it burns your bitch ass as soon as you breach it. Like, when you breach it, then it has like a big explosion and it lasts for a few seconds. It will burn you alive. Just letting you guys know if you haven't tested it out or anything. Maybe, I'm pretty sure it's a dead queen or something. I don't fucking know. But just know, good loot, it burns you before you, or right after you open it, so be careful.
Out in the field while you're looting topside, but 96,000 recorders found is pretty funny. And that's that. Let me know what you think about them changing the awareness of the flying drones.
Yeah, I didn't really care about all the random stuff, but I do think the awareness thing is a big factor, because I didn't like getting shot in bushes and having to run around. You know what I mean? You know how many teammates I've lost to that? I've lost some good people, man. Some good people, dude. So I think that's a good change. W game. That makes me excited to like get it and try it out, you know. I'm not the biggest extraction shooter, but I would love to play it, you know, and buy it or whatever. So
some people want the ARCS to stay the same. Some people want the ARCS to be
I definitely would love to play it though.
Strong, yada yada. So what do you think? Is that a good change? Is that a very safe
change? I think it's a W change.
For what they're looking at, the visual difference on performance and quality. You expect them to make changes there? How do you feel about the launch prep and how the server slam went, and what your expectations are for launch? Toss it down below. If you found value in today's video,
but before I end this video, definitely check out this guy's channel, Dry Bear Gamers. I've actually looked at his video without recording yesterday, which is how I found him. I did not mean to click that by accident. Anyways, but definitely check him out, give him a like, subscribe to him. I'll subscribe, drop you a like and everything. I put your video in the very top of my description. Thank you for the video and information, my guy. Have a good one, man.